The live stream numbers exploded as viewers from around the world watched the impossible unfold in real time. Wei Zhang's hands shook with excitement as he narrated in hushed tones, "We're witnessing history. The first stable interdimensional portal created by human hands." His broadcast, meant only for a small scientific community forum, was being shared and reposted at an exponential rate. Within minutes, #MultiverseIsReal was trending worldwide. Elena remained transfixed by the shimmering portal, its edges pulsing with quantum fluctuations that somehow maintained stability instead of collapsing as all previous attempts had. "Hiroshi, are you seeing these readings?" she called out, her voice barely audible over the facility's blaring alarms. The energy signature was nothing like their simulations had predicted. It was cleaner, more efficient, consuming barely a quarter of the projected power. Dr. Tanaka frantically typed commands into the main console, his usually calm demeanor replaced by wide-eyed wonder. "The quantum harmonics are self-stabilizing," he announced to the team. "It's like the portal wants to stay open." Security personnel burst into the lab, followed closely by the facility director, Dr. Gabriela Santos, whose face cycled through shock, anger, and awe in rapid succession. "Mercado, you were explicitly denied authorization for a full-scale test," she shouted, then stopped abruptly as her eyes locked onto the portal. "My God, you actually did it." Through the portal, movement caught Elena's attention, a figure on the other side, humanoid but clearly not human, with elongated proportions and skin that shimmered with a metallic iridescence, approached cautiously. It raised what appeared to be a scanning device, directing it toward the portal from the safety of its side. "We're being scanned," reported Dr. Khalid Abbas from the sensor station. "The equipment on the other side is using quantum frequencies we've only theorized about." The being on the other side suddenly looked up, making direct eye contact with Elena. Its expression, surprise mixed with something that looked unsettlingly like fear, lasted only a moment before it turned and rushed away from the portal. "I think we just announced our presence to the neighborhood," Elena murmured, a chill running down her spine despite the excitement of discovery. The portal's edges began to fluctuate more wildly as warning indicators flashed across the monitoring stations. "Power surge detected from the other side," Tanaka called out. "Something's pushing back against our connection." Elena made a split-second decision. "Activate the quantum stabilizers. All of them." "That's not in the protocol," Dr. Santos protested. "We haven't tested." "There is no protocol for this," Elena cut her off. "If we lose this connection now, we might never reproduce these exact conditions." The team scrambled to engage the experimental stabilizers, arrays of specially aligned exotic matter designed to reinforce quantum pathways. The portal's erratic pulsing gradually steadied as the emergency systems came online. Outside the facility, government vehicles were already converging, alerted by the massive power draw and unauthorized experiment. Satellites in orbit detected the quantum anomaly, triggering automated alerts in defense installations worldwide. Intelligence agencies, already monitoring the illicit livestream, initiated emergency protocols for potential extraterrestrial contact. As Elena steadied herself against a console, she felt a strange sensation, like distant thunder felt rather than heard, reverberating through the fabric of reality itself. Somewhere deep in her scientific mind, she understood that this vibration wasn't just traveling through our universe, but echoing across countless others. Humanity had just knocked on the door of the multiverse, and something out there had definitely noticed. The consortium delegation's presentation continued for another hour, showcasing catastrophic dimensional incidents with clinical precision. Elena noticed the subtle shift in the room's atmosphere, from initial skepticism to mounting dread. Even the military officials, initially dismissive of the visitors, now exchanged concerned glances as footage showed entire cities dissolving into quantum chaos. The multiversal accords were established after the Shatterpoint crisis, explained the lead envoy, whose name translated roughly to Meridian. 317 inhabited dimensions were lost before containment protocols could be established. His floating display shifted to show a complex network of dimensional pathways, carefully regulated and monitored by consortium technology. During a brief recess, Alina pulled Dr. Tanaka into a secure communications room where they were joined by Wei Zong, now working as their data analyst after his livestream had ironically made him the human most familiar with public reaction to dimensional contact. "Show him," Alina instructed, and Wei projected their findings onto the room's secure screen. "I've been analyzing the catastrophe footage frame by frame," Wei explained, highlighting specific sections. The dimensional ruptures in their examples propagate outward in fractal patterns, creating cascading failures across multiple points of reality. "Which is nothing like our portal technology," Tanaka finished, pulling up their own test data. "Our dimensional apertures are self-containing, with quantum boundaries that actually strengthen surrounding space-time instead of weakening it." Alina nodded grimly. "They're not showing us accidents. They're showing us weapons. Deliberate dimensional destabilization technology." The door opened as Dr. Santos entered with General Rivera, Earth's military liaison to the diplomatic team. "Tell them what you just told me," Santos instructed, her face ashen. Alina quickly summarized their findings while General Rivera's expression darkened progressively. "So they're lying about the dangers of our technology," he concluded, "which means their entire premise for being here is suspect." "Not entirely," Tanaka cautioned. "Dimensional travel clearly can be dangerous, just not in the way they're suggesting our portals are." A soft alert tone from Wei's tablet interrupted them. His eyes widened as he read the incoming message. "Someone's trying to contact us through a buried subspace frequency in our portal's residual field," he whispered. "It's coming from within the consortium delegation." General Rivera immediately moved toward the communication controls. "This could be a trap, or our only chance of the truth," Alina countered, nodding to Wei. "Accept the transmission, but through isolated channels only." The message was brief, encoded with coordinates and a time. An offer to meet secretly with a consortium scientist named Lyria, who claimed to have critical information about Earth's dimensional breakthrough. "It could still be a setup," Santos warned. General Rivera studied the coordinates. "This location is a blind spot in our security network. How would they even know that?" "Because they've been studying us far longer than we realize," Alina said, the implication sending a chill through the room. "They didn't just happen to arrive 3 days after our first portal. They've been watching, waiting for us to make this specific breakthrough." When they returned to the negotiation chamber, Alina viewed the consortium representatives with new eyes. Behind their expressions of concern and offers of guidance, she now detected something unmistakable: fear. Humanity hadn't just discovered dimensional travel. They'd stumbled upon something that terrified beings who had mastered the multiverse centuries ago. "We accept your concern for multiversal safety," announced the United Nations Secretary-General as the session resumed. "However, we require time to consider your proposed restrictions and oversight measures." Meridian's smile remained diplomatic, but Alina noticed his secondary eyes, hidden partially behind translucent membranes, narrow slightly. "Of course," he replied smoothly. "Though I must emphasize that dimensional technologies can develop unpredictably. For everyone's safety, we strongly recommend suspending all portal research during deliberations." "Noted," the Secretary-General responded neutrally. "We will take that under advisement." As the formal session adjourned, Alina checked her secure communicator. The meeting with the mysterious consortium scientist was set for midnight. Whatever truth lay behind the consortium's arrival on Earth, she would soon discover it. Assuming, of course, she wasn't walking into a trap. The bunker beneath Geneva hummed with activity as scientists from 12 countries worked feverishly to decode the consortium's portal technology. Alina watched as Dr. Tanaka directed a team analyzing energy signatures captured during the visitors' arrivals. The contrast between their methods and Earth's breakthrough was becoming increasingly clear. "It's like they're forcing their way through reality," Tanaka explained, gesturing to the holographic models. Their portals require tremendous energy concentrations at both origin and destination points, predetermined weak spots in the dimensional fabric. Alina nodded, the implications becoming clearer. And our technology. A young physicist from Brazil stepped forward, excitement evident despite her exhaustion. We're more surgical. Their method is like blasting through a wall where it's already cracking. Ours is like cutting a perfect doorway wherever we choose. The secured door hissed open as Dr. Santos entered with Lyria, the consortium scientist who had risked everything to contact them. Unlike the other consortium representatives who maintained a carefully humanoid appearance, Lyria had dropped her morphological adjustments, revealing a crystalline structure beneath her skin that shifted with her emotions, currently a turbulent swirl of anxiety and resolve. "Show them," Santos instructed. Lyria placed a small device on the central table. It projected a three-dimensional map of the multiverse far more detailed than anything the official delegation had revealed. Countless dimensions appeared as interconnected nodes in a vast network, with distinct color coding that immediately caught Alina's attention. The red designations, Lyria explained, her voice resonating with a subtle harmonic quality, are resource worlds. The blue are manufacturing dimensions. Greens are agricultural, all feeding the gold worlds, the consortium elite dimensions. General Rivera studied the map intently. And these black pathways connecting them. Controlled portal routes, Lyria replied. The only legal means of transport between dimensions, all requiring consortium technology, consortium permission, and consortium taxes. Alina zoomed in on a particular section, where thousands of dimensions appeared isolated from the main network. And these, Lyria's crystalline features darkened. Quarantine dimensions. Some for legitimate dangers they pose, others for refusing consortium authority or attempting to develop independent portal technology. She manipulated the display to highlight Earth's position. Your world was designated for eventual incorporation, centuries from now, when your technology reached an acceptable level. Your unexpected portal breakthrough accelerated their timetable dramatically. Why help us? Tanaka asked directly. You're risking everything. Lyria's form shimmered with what Alina recognized as deep emotion. I was born on a world now classified as Resource Dimension 7829. We had universities, art, a thriving civilization. Now my homeworld's oceans are drained annually to support consortium's central worlds. Those of us with useful skills were incorporated. She gestured to her crystalline structure. This form is not natural to my species. It was an enhancement to make me more valuable. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't merely about scientific freedom or technological monopoly. It was about the fate of entire civilizations. Wei Zhang, who had been quietly analyzing the data in the corner, suddenly straightened. Dr. Mercado, I've been correlating our portal research with Lyria's information. There's something you need to see. The display shifted to show energy patterns from Earth's portal experiments overlaid with the multiversal map. Distinct resonance patterns appeared, connecting Earth not just to nearby dimensions, but creating harmonic echoes across the entire multiversal spectrum. This is impossible, Lyria whispered, her crystalline features pulsing with shock. Your technology isn't just creating individual doorways, it's resonating with the fundamental connective tissue of the multiverse itself. What does that mean exactly? General Rivera demanded. Alina's mind raced ahead, grasping the implications before Lyria could respond. It means we haven't just found a way to travel between dimensions, she said quietly. We've potentially found a way to reshape how all dimensions connect to each other. Lyria nodded gravely, which is why the consortium isn't just concerned. They're terrified. You haven't simply discovered interdimensional travel. You've stumbled upon the means to democratize it completely. Alina gasped for breath as she emerged from the microportal into the dimly lit chamber. The experimental device had worked, but the journey felt rougher than standard portal transit, a consequence of the hastily assembled technology and the need to mask their quantum signature from consortium trackers. Your escape was narrow. Xylix observed, the luminescent patches on his four-armed form pulsing with concerned hues. Our intelligence indicated the strike would come tomorrow. They're accelerating their timetable, Elena replied, straightening herself. They hit 6 facilities simultaneously. Dr. Santos didn't make it out. Her voice caught as she recalled her colleague's final act, sealing the laboratory doors to give others time to escape. Xylix guided her deeper into what appeared to be an ancient structure, its walls inscribed with mathematical formulas, so advanced they seemed almost artistic. This sanctuary predates consortium control of my dimension by millennia, he explained. Its existence has been scrubbed from all official records, which makes it ideal for our purposes. The chamber opened into a vast circular hall where beings from at least a dozen different dimensions were gathered around a central platform. Elena recognized Dr. Tanaka among them, relief washing over her at the sight of her colleague alive and already deep in discussion with a spherical entity composed of what appeared to be liquid mercury. Resistance representatives, Xylix announced, each from a dimension suffering under consortium extraction policies. They've been monitoring your world since your first portal activation, hoping for exactly the breakthrough you've achieved. A tall insectoid being stepped forward, its compound eyes refracting light in hypnotic patterns. I am Vexela, Dimensional Coordinator. While regrettable, the consortium attack has provided us unexpected advantages. Their aggression has united your world's governments in common defense and accelerated cooperation with dimensional allies. On the central platform, a holographic display showed real-time updates from Earth. Nations previously at odds were now sharing portal technology and defensive capabilities. The attack that was meant to cripple humanity's dimensional research had instead galvanized a unified response. They underestimated Earth's capacity for adaptation, Tanaka explained as Elena joined him. After the first strike, we implemented the distributed research protocol. Every scientist with key knowledge relocated to a different facility, with no single point of failure. The liquid mercury being rippled with what Elena interpreted as approval. Most remarkable is your species' intuitive understanding of dimensional physics. It communicated directly into her mind, concepts that took our civilization centuries to grasp. Your scientists have developed independently in weeks. Vexela activated a more detailed tactical display. The Nairobi facility remains our most significant vulnerability and likely target for their next offensive. The primary dimensional anchor is housed there. If it falls, maintaining stable connections between our resistance dimensions becomes significantly more difficult. Then we defend it at all costs, Elena stated firmly. A hushed conversation rippled through the gathered beings. Xylix approached cautiously. Dr. Mercado, you must understand. The consortium has never failed in a direct military engagement with a pre-multiversal civilization. Their technological advantage is based on conventional thinking, Elena interrupted. But we're not fighting conventionally. She stepped onto the platform, accessing the controls with surprising familiarity, another benefit of the dimensional knowledge exchange that had been accelerating her understanding. The display shifted to show Earth's tactical response, portal-enabled defensive systems unlike anything the gathered resistance had considered. We're not trying to match their firepower, she explained, highlighting the strategy developed by Earth's Unified Defense Command. We're changing the dimensional battlefield itself. The display showed specialized microportals capable of redirecting energy weapons back at their sources, phase-shifting defense barriers that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, and most surprisingly, portal traps designed to separate consortium strike teams across different realities. Your species developed these countermeasures in days? Vexela asked, compound eyes widening in apparent surprise. Necessity breeds innovation, Tanaka replied simply, and humans have a long history of asymmetrical warfare when outmatched by superior forces. Elena noticed the shift in the chamber's atmosphere, from cautious alliance to genuine hope. The consortium expects us to cower or mount a desperate, doomed defense, she added, They don't expect us to have already transformed their attack into our opportunity. The Dimensional Academy's main collaboration chamber buzzed with activity unlike anything Alina had ever witnessed. Holographic equations floated between workstations where humans worked alongside beings from dozens of dimensions. The chamber itself was an architectural marvel. Constructed in just 14 days through portal-enabled building techniques, its crystalline dome captured the Antarctic light and diffused it into a perfect spectrum for all visual sensitivities. The quantum resonance algorithms have progressed beyond our projections, reported Dr. Aisha Okafor, formerly Nigeria's leading particle physicist, now heading the Academy's theoretical division. Her display showed simulation results that even 2 weeks ago would have been considered impossible. The Heisenberg-Vizari model is holding stable at 12 dimensions of simultaneous calculation, added her research partner, a gaseous entity named Threll who existed partially in dimensions humans couldn't perceive. Their collaborative work had produced breakthroughs in quantum computing that effectively rendered consortium encryption obsolete. Alina moved through the chamber, marveling at how quickly barriers between species had dissolved in the face of shared purpose. Linguistic differences had been the first to fall, thanks to a neural interface developed by combining consortium translation technology with human neural mapping innovations. Conceptual differences proved more challenging, yet these too became advantages as diverse cognitive approaches tackled problems from entirely novel angles. She paused beside a young human mathematician, engaged in animated discussion with a crystalline being similar to Lyria, but with more faceted structures. The human, barely 20 years old and recruited from a community college in Iowa, was explaining a mathematical concept using hand-drawn diagrams, while the crystalline being resonated with excitement. Even has a remarkable intuitive understanding of transdimensional topology, Dr. Tanaka explained, joining Alina. His approach completely bypasses 3 foundational assumptions that have limited consortium dimensional science for millennia. Because he never learned those assumptions in the first place, Alina realized. Precisely. His mathematical naivety allows him to see solutions invisible to those with more formal training. Tanaka gestured toward other collaboration clusters throughout the chamber. We're seeing this phenomenon repeatedly. Human perspectives unencumbered by consortium educational constraints are catalyzing breakthroughs across every discipline. A soft alert chimed throughout the facility, signaling the daily knowledge-sharing session. The chamber's center transformed as workstations reconfigured, forming concentric circles around the primary holographic projector. Researchers from all species gathered, some physically present, others joining via dimensional portals that allowed participation from secure locations across Earth and allied dimensions. Today's session focused on biological sciences. A team led by Dr. Maya Patel presented revolutionary healing technologies that combined regenerative techniques from 7 different dimensional approaches. The implications were staggering. Treatments for conditions previously considered untreatable, cellular regeneration methods that worked across species boundaries, and most significantly, protection against consortium bioweapons known to target resistance populations. The distribution network has successfully deployed the first medical portals to 17 resource dimensions, reported Weizong, who had emerged as a gifted logistics coordinator. His display showed miniaturized portal stations connecting remote communities to the Academy's medical facilities, bypassing consortium blockades that had previously prevented essential care from reaching exploited populations. Alina felt a hand on her shoulder and turned to find General Rivera, his normally stoic expression softened by cautious optimism. The resistance networks report unprecedented support in previously neutral dimensions, he said quietly. The images of Earth medical teams treating children in mining colonies, it's changing the narrative more effectively than any military action could have. This was always about more than defense, Alina responded. We're not just fighting against consortium control. We're demonstrating an alternative. As the knowledge-sharing session concluded, Alina noticed Lyria watching from a quiet corner, her crystalline features reflecting a complex emotion. Alina joined her, sensing her troubled thoughts. Something's wrong. Lyria's voice resonated with uncharacteristic urgency. The Consortium Council has convened an emergency session. My sources indicate they're preparing something unprecedented, a direct dimensional assault on your academy. We've prepared for military action, Elena assured her. This isn't military, Lyria corrected grimly. They're deploying dimensional resonance disruptors, weapons designed to sever all portal connections permanently. If they succeed, every dimension represented here will be cut off from their homeworlds, forever. The Consortium Council chamber, located in a pocket dimension accessible only to its highest authorities, erupted into chaos unprecedented in its millennia of existence. Holograms of dimensional representatives flickered as emotions ran high, some physically present members actually abandoning decorum to shout across the circular forum. This proposed action violates our founding principles, declared Ambassador Krell of Meridian Prime, his usually ceremonial armor now bearing the insignia of the emerging alliance. Dimensional isolation was established as punishment only for catastrophic violations, not for political dissent. This is not dissent. It is existential threat, countered High Counselor Nex, his energy form pulsing with aggressive patterns. The humans have distributed technology that undermines the very foundation of dimensional stability and order. From her hidden observation point, transmitted through a microscopic portal embedded in an ornamental fixture, Elena watched the fracturing of the multiverse's oldest governing body. The rebellion that had begun with Earth's dimensional breakthrough was now splitting the consortium itself. Lyria's intelligence had proven accurate beyond expectation. Not only had she warned of the resonance disruptor plan, but she had provided access to this most restricted of forums, allowing Elena and key alliance leaders to witness the consortium's internal conflict firsthand. The humans have exceeded all containment projections, reported the consortium's chief dimensional architect, displaying metrics that even Elena found impressive. Their portal innovation rate has outpaced our most aggressive models by 7 standard deviations. More concerning, they exhibit none of the expected developmental restraints. Meaning? Demanded a representative from a system Elena didn't recognize. Meaning they aren't following the established innovation curve that all previous dimensional civilizations displayed, clarified another counselor. They're actively enhancing their technology rather than settling into stable applications, behavior we've only observed in the most advanced Category 8 civilizations. Ambassador Krell stepped forward, his stance conveying authority earned through centuries of diplomatic service. Yet you consistently overlook the most significant factor, the harmonization effect their techniques demonstrate. He activated his own display, showing data Elena recognized from the Academy's research. Their approach strengthens dimensional boundaries rather than exploiting them. It represents a fundamentally different philosophy of multiverse interaction. Philosophy will not protect us when humans destabilize the dimensional constants that maintain our civilizations. Nex countered. This debate is academic, interrupted a shadowy figure Elena recognized as the director of Consortium Security. The resonance disruptors are already deployed. Earth's dimensional connectivity will be severed within 6 hours. The chamber erupted once more as Ambassador Krell and his allies reacted with shock. You had no authority to act without council consensus. Emergency protocols were invoked. The director replied coldly. The human threat classification exceeded threshold parameters. Elena had heard enough. She signaled to terminate the observation portal and turned to the Alliance command team assembled in the Academy's Secure Operations Center. We have confirmation, she announced grimly. The attack is imminent and already in motion. Dr. Tanaka immediately activated the facility's alert system, while General Rivera contacted Earth's Unified Defense Command. Countermeasures are ready, he reported, but not fully tested. We're looking at significant risks. The resonance disruptors target specific dimensional frequency patterns, added Vexala, analyzing the intercepted consortium data. They're calibrated to Earth's portal signature. Elena processed this information, her mind racing through potential solutions. Then we change our signature, she stated, turning to the assembled team. Even's transdimensional topology model. It predicted variable resonance states could exist simultaneously. Theoretically, cautioned Dr. Okafor, we haven't had time to validate. We don't have time. Elena interrupted. We need to recalibrate every portal connected to Earth to a rotating frequency matrix. Lyria's crystalline features pulsed with concern. Even if possible, the energy requirements would be enormous. And we'd need to coordinate with every allied dimension simultaneously, added Wei. Our communication systems aren't designed for that level of synchronization. Elena's expression hardened with determination. Then we build one that is. She turned to Tanaka. Your quantum entanglement communicator concept, how quickly can we deploy it? With conventional resources, months. His eyes met hers, understanding dawning. But with every dimensional scientist we can gather. Exactly. Elena addressed the entire command center. The consortium believes their advantage is technological superiority accumulated over millennia. Our advantage is that we don't know what's supposedly impossible. She activated the Academy's global announcement system. This is Dr. Mercado. We have 6 hours to accomplish something unprecedented, or lose everything we've built. The desert world of Caraxes Prime shimmered under the heat of 3 suns as the portal aperture stabilized. Elena stepped through alongside Dr. Tanaka and a small humanitarian team, immediately activating the environmental shields that would protect them from the harsh conditions. Ahead of them stretched a refugee encampment housing thousands displaced by the consortium's resource extraction operations. Another successful deployment, Wei confirmed through their communication link. Portal network now operating at 76% coverage of target dimensions. Operation Infinite Doorway had expanded beyond Elena's most optimistic projections. What began as emergency humanitarian relief had evolved into the largest coordinated multidimensional operation in history. The Quantum Entanglement Communicator, developed in that frantic 6-hour countdown and subsequently refined, now connected over 8,000 dimensions in real time, allowing for perfect synchronization of portal activities. Medical team, proceed to primary distribution center, Elena directed. Engineering team, the water reclamation system is your priority. As the teams dispersed, a group of Caraxian elders approached. Their once proud species had been reduced to nomadic existence after the consortium had redirected their planet's primary river system to supply water to manufacturing worlds. Now, with Earth's portal technology providing direct access to abundant water sources and agricultural dimensions, their civilization had a chance at revival. The supply portals have maintained stability for 3 full cycles, the lead elder reported, her translucent skin showing the healthier blue tone that came with proper hydration. Our youngest generation has known only scarcity, until now. Elena watched as Earth's agricultural specialists demonstrated cultivation techniques adapted for Caraxian biology and conditions. Nearby, medical personnel treated children suffering from decades of malnutrition and contamination. Each humanitarian mission strengthened the alliance more than any military victory could have. Dimensional alert, Tanaka warned, checking his scanner. Consortium security forces detected approaching this sector. Once, such news would have triggered immediate evacuation. Now, Elena merely nodded as Alliance defense systems automatically activated. The rotating frequency matrix protecting Earth's portals had proven so effective that it had been implemented across all Alliance operations, rendering consortium tracking systems largely ineffective. Let them come, she replied, continuing her inspection of the water reclamation facility. The more dimensions they threaten, the more join our cause. Her communicator chimed with an incoming priority message from General Rivera. Elena, we've intercepted consortium transmissions. They're assembling their dimensional fleet for a direct assault on Earth. Not just the disruptors this time, they're deploying the dimension sealing weapon. A chill ran through her despite the desert heat. The dimension sealer was the consortium's most devastating weapon, capable of permanently isolating an entire dimension from the multiverse. Even with their rotating portal frequencies and distributed network, Earth might not survive such an attack. "How long?" she asked. 24 hours until they can synchronize the dimensional coordinates, Rivero replied. "We're mobilizing everything we have, but honestly, I'm not sure it will be enough." Alina's mind raced through potential countermeasures, none adequate against a weapon designed to sever dimensional connections at their fundamental level. Then her gaze fell upon the Correction children playing near a newly established water pool, their joy a stark reminder of what the Alliance was fighting to protect. "Tell Wei to accelerate the humanitarian deployments," she decided. "Every portal, every aid station, every connection we can establish in the next 24 hours. We flood the multiverse with evidence of what we're building." "Alina," Tanaka said carefully, "that doesn't address the weapon. It addresses something more important," she replied, her voice gaining conviction. "If the consortium wants to attack Earth, they'll have to do it with the entire multiverse watching. Every dimension will see exactly what they're destroying, and why." As they prepared to return to Earth, Alina received another message, this one from Ambassador Krell. The consortium schism had deepened, with nearly 40% of member dimensions now openly supporting the Alliance. The message concluded with something unprecedented: coordinates for the consortium's central dimension, previously the most closely guarded secret in the multiverse. "They're giving us the location of their home dimension," Tanaka whispered, stunned by the implications. Not as a target, Alina realized, studying the attached data. As a doorway. The orbital embassy hung in space above Earth, its crystalline structure refracting sunlight into patterns that represented unified dimensional harmony. 1 year after humanity's first portal breakthrough, representatives from over 10,000 dimensions had gathered for the historic signing of the new multiversal accords. Alina stood at the viewport, watching Earth rotate below, the blue planet that had inadvertently catalyzed the greatest revolution in multiversal history. So much had changed in a single year, yet from this distance, her world looked peacefully unchanged. "Contemplating the cosmic perspective?" asked Ambassador Krell, joining her at the window. Since leading the consortium schism, he had become one of the Alliance's most respected voices. "Remembering where it began," Alina replied. "In a basement lab with equipment that now looks primitive even to me." The final confrontation had come within hours of their discovery of the consortium's central dimension coordinates. The dimension-sealing weapon had indeed been deployed against Earth, but instead of countering it directly, Alina had proposed something radical. Using the coordinates provided by Krell's faction, they had opened a direct portal to the consortium's central dimension and broadcast a simple message to its citizens, an invitation to visit Earth. "Your strategy was brilliantly effective," Krell acknowledged. For millennia, the Consortium Council claimed that unrestricted dimensional travel would lead to chaos and destruction. When billions of ordinary citizens across the multiverse witnessed Earth's approach, seeing the humanitarian aid, the cultural exchanges, the collaborative scientific advancement, the contrast became undeniable. The consortium fleet had found itself caught between executing their attack and facing immediate revolution from their own populations. The leadership had fractured, hardliners attempting to proceed with the attack while moderates called for negotiation. The resulting confusion had allowed Alliance forces to neutralize the Dimension Sealer without a direct confrontation. "Dr. Mercado, they're ready for the ceremony," announced Y, now serving as Earth's deputy representative to the new Multiversal Council. The Grand Chamber at the Embassy Center had been designed to accommodate beings from every conceivable environment: aquatic zones, variable gravity sections, and atmospheric compositions that would be toxic to humans, all seamlessly integrated. At its center stood the ceremonial platform where the new accords would be signed. Alina took her place alongside Earth's delegation as the proceedings began. The consortium still existed, but transformed. Its remaining members now equals in the new multiversal governance rather than ruling elites. The principles drafted largely by human ethicists and constitutional scholars emphasized self-determination, free exchange of knowledge, and environmental protection across all dimensions. As Alina prepared to deliver Earth's formal statement, she caught sight of Dr. Tanaka talking animatedly with a group of scientists from dimensions previously closed to outside contact. Nearby, medical teams from Earth consulted with beings whose physiologies would have been unimaginable a year ago. Even, the young mathematician was there, demonstrating transdimensional equations to an entranced audience. The ancient consortium elder who had once led the original dimensional explorations approached her before she reached the podium. His species measured lifespans in millennia, allowing him to witness the rise and eventual corruption of the organization he had helped found. "Your kind surprised us," he admitted, his ancient eyes studying her with newfound respect. "We expected you to use your discovery as we once did, as a means of extending power and control." "That approach seemed limited," Elena replied. "With infinite dimensions to explore, why focus on dominating rather than connecting?" As she stepped to the podium to address the historic gathering, Elena felt the weight of the moment, not as a burden but as profound opportunity. Behind her, Earth rotated serenely. Before her, representatives of civilizations spanning the full spectrum of possibility waited expectantly. "1 year ago, humanity stumbled upon the multiverse by accident," she began. "We had no roadmap, no guidelines for what comes after such a discovery. So we followed the principles that have guided human exploration at our best moments. Curiosity tempered by compassion, ambition balanced with responsibility, and the fundamental belief that discovery means little if not shared." The translation systems carried her words to every being present, each hearing in their native language a vision that had begun in a basement laboratory and now encompassed infinity itself. "The multiverse does not belong to those who discovered it first or those who control its pathways," she continued. "It belongs to all of us together, each dimension bringing unique perspectives to our collective journey. Today, we formalize that understanding not as an end, but as a beginning."